Hello, my name is Giuseppe Attanasio, and I'm a third-year PhD student at Politecnico di Torino, supervised by Elena Barnes. I'm very pleased to introduce my works on dissecting deep language models from the explainability and bias perspective. So, just to get us on the same page, these are two examples of modern language models, bidirectional one, BERT, and an autoregressive one, the family of GPT. So they are basically neural networks, and they are based on multiple layers of transformers stacked one on top of another. So what is the problem here? What we are experiencing at the time of speaking is a compelling trend. So we are seeing that the bigger the better for these models in terms of performance. But on the other side, there are many problems. First of all, these models are unintelligible by design because you have billion parameters language models, and also these models are known to encode what we call an intended bias, and which can be problematic when you apply these models in high stakes applications. And there are other problems which are not part of my research, for example, the environmental costs for training these models, and of course also the fact that only a few can actually train these models as of now. But speaking of bias, where the bias generates, where does the bias generate? So we as researcher collect pre-training data, and then we pre-train these models, and then collect some fine-tuning domain-specific data, and then we fine-tune these models on that. And anything can go wrong in either of these steps. And here we are focusing on the bias that generates against minorities. So when you sample data against minorities, you either downsample them, or in a more problematic way, you sample them with association bias. So the samples are all related to a single class, and you don't want it to be this way when you train these models. So we focused initially on the automatic misogyny identification in Italian. So when you apply these models to understand whether a tweet is misogynous or not online on Twitter, we proposed a multi-agent classification approach. But the most important part of this paper is that no matter the unbiasing techniques that we used, there were still many sources of bias driving false positives. So, for example, bias on part of the body, or you have the model is not able to understand the self-mocking references, or, for example, the targeted gender. So, based on these results, we focused on proposing a new novel mitigation approach. So what we understood is that models become, when you train them, when you actually train and fine-tune them, they become oversensitive to the presence of certain words, and these words are like trigger words, so they drive the classification outcome when you use this model as classifiers. So current state-of-the-art approaches are based on what they call an identity terms list. So you build a list of words that you want to pay attention to, but these lists are like problematic in a way because maybe you can forget a term, or you can add a term which shouldn't be there. Or for example, you build a list for like misogyny classifiers, misogyny identification classifiers, but then you cannot port this list to another domain. So what we proposed is a novel approach which doesn't need identity terms list, is pluggable, so you can use it with different models, and it can give some explainability flavor because it gives you what are the most problematic words given a dataset and given a model trained on a specific dataset. So this is like a very, very short overview of my activities, but it's I just want to say that it's like the tip of the iceberg, because hate speech is not the only dimensionality. For example, you can have multimodal hate contents, for example, hateful memes online. So you have an image which is not hateful per se, but if you pair with a text, it can the combination, the meme, what we call meme, becomes hateful. And also that what we understand for a language for example, the English one, which is the most common one in research, it cannot be applied directly to other languages. So this is another aspect of research that we are exploring right now. So with that said, I thank you for your attention, and if you are interested, please drop me an email, or contact me on Twitter, or if you are interested in the whole spectrum of my activities, go to my personal website. Thank you. Bye.